Congratulations, you have just found the #1 over 50 health and wellness podcast on the planet. Hello and welcome to the Over 50 Health and Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin English. I'm the founder of the Silver Edge, and our mission is to help you build and maintain a lean, healthy body that you love for the rest of your life, so you can show up in the second half of your life as the healthiest, strongest, most vital version of yourself. In today's episode of the Coach's Corner, we're going to dive deep into a journey of health, fitness, and wellness with a very special guest. I've got Coach Russell Mederios on the show with me today. Russell is a recent addition to our coaching staff here at the Silver Edge, and he brings a wealth of experience from his background in public service, including years in the U.S. Coast Guard and a police officer, to his own personal transformative journey into fitness and nutrition coaching. Today, he shares his unique insights on overcoming challenges, the importance of nutrition, the impact of sleep on fitness, and the power of coaching in making significant life changes. Whether you're looking to lose weight, gain muscle, or simply live a healthier, more vital life in your 50s and beyond, this conversation is packed with motivation, strategies, and real-life advice. Join us as we explore Russell's story, his approach to coaching, and how he helps his clients navigate the path to their best selves. Today's episode is brought to you by the Silver Edge. If you are interested in optimizing your health, dropping a few pounds of fat, and building some lean, functional muscle, and if you're here listening to this, I'm assuming that's you, and if you're tired of crash diets and the constant hamster wheel of losing and gaining the same 10 pounds over and over again, and if you're ready to take a long-term, health-first approach to sustainable, permanent fat loss and muscle building so that you can show up in the second half of your life as the leanest, strongest, healthiest, most vital version of yourself, then what are you waiting for? Reach out and let's start a conversation about whether our one-on-one personalized nutrition, exercise, and lifestyle coaching services are a perfect match for you and your goals. If you'd like to learn more about our coaching services, head over to silveredgefitness.com and click on the coaching tab at the top of the page, or just shoot us an email at coach@silveredgefitness.com and we'll start a conversation about whether our coaching services are a perfect match for you. Okay, enough of that. Let's meet Coach Russell. Coach Russell, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Well, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, man, I'm really happy to have you on here. So we have not gotten a chance to introduce you to our podcast listeners formally yet. So let's kind of roll into that. So I want to let folks know that Coach Russell is our most recent addition to our coaching staff here at the Silver Edge. And if you don't know, the Silver Edge is our online fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle one-on-one coaching business. And there's 4 of us coaches, right? There's myself, we have Coach Monica, Coach Jess, and now, of course, Coach Russell. And Coach Russell, you came on board, was it October last year? October, November?
Yeah.
Sometime late last year, right? So at that time, I was full. I wasn't accepting any more coaching clients, and we had back-to-back male clients request a male coach. So that caused me to reach out. And I just wanted to set the story before we meet Coach Russell here a little bit of what it's like for us at the Silver Edge to hire a new coach, because we work with people like you listening, right? People in their 50s, 60s, and a few people in their 70s. And we do occasionally, we'll get somebody who's in their 40s says, hey, I want to roll into my 50s as a badass. And do I qualify? Yes, of course. But it's when we look to hire, so in this case, I was cutting out half of the nutrition and personal trainer coaches in the world because I specifically wanted a male, but I wanted a dude that's over 50 as well. And just so people know, that's a pretty limited pool. Furthermore, I wanted somebody who fit with our philosophy, fit with our culture, and had a very specific nutrition coaching certification. And I feel really, really fortunate that we found you, right? I mean, I put that out there. You replied. I think we probably jumped on a call. We probably jumped on a Zoom call. And here we are all that time later. And now I will let you folks know that finding a coach, so when I say a coach in our business, you have to, at a minimum, you've got to be a certified nutrition coach. You've got to be a certified personal trainer with experience, obviously. And while that's not that tricky, it is tricky when we look at folks in our age group. I'm not sure why that specifically is, but I can tell you the story. I went to Coaching Con, which is what it sounds like. It's a big coaching conference. There's, I don't know, close to 1,000 coaches in this auditorium. We're getting all this information and education, and I can tell you that the average age in that room was probably late 20s, maybe.
Yeah,
And it's
I
probably
was
it was probably only that high because I dragged it up there. There weren't many folks that look like me and you, and a little gray in the beard here for those of you that
yeah,
are not
I
my
was there. I was there too. I was the grandpa of the
You
group.
were the grandpa. Yes, likewise. I proudly took it on, right? There are
Yeah.
a lot of fit, good-looking kids there, basically, and then there's just a few of us old folks. So anyways, Russell, let's learn a little bit about you. It seems to me that most people who end up doing something in the health, fitness, coaching space have a story how they got there. What's your story?
Well, I've always been in the public service. I was in the U.S. Coast Guard for 8 years. I was a police officer for over 17, 18 years. So fitness was always part of it. I couldn't figure it out when I got in my 30s. Like something just didn't jive. I would do more sessions at the gym and silly diets, or not silly, but just extreme
Sure.
diets, I would say.
Yeah.
Just couldn't figure it out. So I was spinning the wheel and just trying to figure out life. 40 pounds gained on me. I was at my wit's end, so I hired a coach. I never heard of a coach. Someone told me to hire a bodybuilding coach, so I did, and did a bodybuilder thing. I didn't want to be a bodybuilder, but I just wanted to lose weight. So the long story short, I was eating more, working out less, and I was coming into form. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I don't understand this. So eventually I hired another coach to help me out. And I just got really interested in the coaching part of it because this coach was super enthusiastic and loved what he did, and really explained a lot to me. So as a police officer in San Francisco or Bay Area, California, you're allowed to retire at 50 when I came in. And I'm thinking, God, what am I going to do after 50? Because I'm still young. And I asked this guy, I said, hey, you do this for a job? Like, this is your job? And he said, yeah. And I was like, what a great job. Like, because I was thinking of going further into law enforcement, which was already wearing me out. So I just got really excited. So I started taking courses and personal trainer and nutrition. And then just more and more you dive into it. You know, like anything you're interested in, you just dive into everything. And I'm really into helping people. And unfortunately, I hate to tell you, when you're a police officer, you realize real quick, I'm not helping anybody. I got in this job to help people, and I'm not helping anybody. And it's really frustrating. So being in this coaching environment, meeting other coaches, meeting people that are frustrated and you help get along, it's a very rewarding time. And it's actually something I was looking for years ago to help people,
Amen to that. Yeah, I'm with you. I feel strongly that there is a very rewarding aspect to coaching. That's just watching people, helping people on their journey, watching them as they make progress and improve their health, and that's kind of like the tide that rises and all of the boats go up, right? As their health gets better, a lot of times other aspects of their lives get better. They not only does their body composition change, but very often they find that, hey, I've got more, I'm in an improved mood. My mental state is better. My emotional state is better. I've had more energy. So a lot of these things come along with just, let's face it, most of our folks are coming to us. I mean, the vast majority are coming to us for weight loss. They're not. And a lot of folks, when they meet us, they're not even talking so much about fat loss and muscle gain. They're just like, hey, I want to weigh this, some kind of random number, right? So for us to have the honor and the privilege to guide those people on that path is really, really rewarding and just very fulfilling as well. Now, Russell, you had mentioned a couple things there. You'd mentioned that at one point you're 40 pounds overweight, and it sounded like you were working out, you were doing things that you probably thought were the right things to do. How did you end up in that state where you're like, all of a sudden, holy moly, how did I get here?
I think I grew up in the era, and we all grew up in the era with the fitness magazines, right? So that was our social media for finding information out. And you would be like, oh, Barry Bonds does this, or, like this athlete or actor or actress does this. So I would blindly follow it, and it would give you some, eat a chicken breast and this and that and the other. And it's like, okay. So I did it, and of course nothing happened. or,
Yeah.
or something would happen real quick and then just die out. That's kind of how I got there. I was a new father too, in
Mm.
my mid 30s. I was a little late starter, so that, I'm not blaming my children, but the time
No,
restraint.
I think everybody here listening that has kids certainly
I
can
blame them for the
absolutely
gray.
relate.
I
Yeah,
blame him for the
certainly.
gray. That's what I
Yeah.
blame him for. But other
Yeah.
than that, so just life took a hold of me, and working as a police officer in a high crime area. God, you're working a lot. You're a lot of overtime, and
Yep.
so I just couldn't figure it out. I just know. So I kind of think that's what I specialize in. Like, you got a time restraint, you got some obstacles, man. I've probably been there, and I'll help you figure it out. And that's a great thing about, I guess, maybe us being coaches at this age. We've been through just about
Yeah.
everything you've been through.
Right, those life experiences, and that's a great point. So, Russell, I've got a client. So, just so the listener knows, every week, Russell, Coach Russell, Coach Monica, Coach Jess, and I, we all get on a call together and we talk about our clients, and we say, "Hey, here are the clients' wins, and here are where we're struggling." And I've got a client who is in a very high stress situation, and he's in a fat loss phase right now, and just having some troubles losing that fat. Did a great job in the metabolic restoration phase, gained some muscle, really made some great gains there, and really struggling on the fat side. So I came to you for that expertise, right? Because you also have spent time in this high cortisone, high
Mm.
stress kind of an environment. And clearly, we know, I know academically that that's not really conducive for successful fat loss, but just being able, as a coach, being able to bounce that off of you. And of course, with my female clients that are having some, for example, menopausal type issues or difficulties, having female coaches to be able to bounce things off of has been really valuable. So yeah, I agree that, and that's one of the reasons why I really want as we grow, our coaches to be our age, 50s and 60s, basically, because we have that life experience. Not to say that, some 25-year-old kid isn't brilliant and couldn't absolutely help people our age, but I just feel like we're much more relatable. We have that life experience that we can share and relate to other folks. So yeah, 100%. I'm with you on the whole age thing. All right. So now you're in great shape. Is that fair? Can I say that? You in
Yeah,
great shape?
I'm
Yeah,
50
man.
years old, having 20-year-olds come up to me at the pool saying, "Hey, what do you do?"
What do you do for work?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely love it,
Or,
man. You're
or
out there
what? Or they
representing.
ask what supplement. That's usually
Yes.
20-year-olds
Yeah.
ask what supplement.
Yeah. And they walk away dejected when they hear that, well, that's
Well,
not
I
the
tell them
answer.
8 hours of sleep and Whole Foods. That's
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
supplements.
There you go. There you go. And that's a good segue into what I wanted to have some fun with you today here and talk a little bit about sort of the hierarchy of healthy habits. So you had recently posted on our private Facebook group. And so folks listening to this, if you're not in our private Facebook group, what are you even doing? Get in there. It's the Over 50 Lean Body Blueprint. All of our coaches are in there. So if you have any questions, comments, want to share wins, community, all that stuff, get in there. But you had recently posted a graphic in there, and it was a triangle, and it was what was it, a hierarchy of success in the gym, or something like that, right?
Of health and fitness. Yeah.
Health and fitness, right? So
Yeah.
it's this hierarchy. And so it's this pyramid, and the base of the pyramid, I'm not going to give it away because we're going to have some fun talking about these things, but I think you had 5 things listed. Of course, the base of the pyramid being the most important. As you go up through the pyramid and you get to the teeny tiny triangle at the top being the least important. And you had just brought up supplements. I think we we're both going to probably agree that they're a little higher up than most people would like. But what I want to do is set the stage here. I want people to kind of visualize this with me. So we're going to talk about this hierarchy in terms of somebody who wants to build a lean, healthy, strong, capable, vital body, and they want to keep it for life. So not just somebody who wants to drop 20 pounds, but somebody who's interested in really healthy aging. So let's keep that in mind as we're discussing these things. And I want you guys to visualize this. Let's say that the road, the path to healthy aging leads between two mountains. So there's this valley, right? There's this narrow pass. But that pass has had a landslide. It's had a rock slide and it's filled up and it's impassable. So we're going to have to remove some of this debris in order to successfully go forward on this healthy aging journey. And I want you to imagine that this landslide is full of boulders, big rocks, little rocks, and pebbles. So what I thought we would do is let's just have some fun. I've made a whole list before Russell hopped on the podcast here with me of just a bunch of things that we might do to further our journey for healthy aging. And I'm just going to name them off in no particular order. And Russell and I are just going to have some fun talking back and forth, whether these things are boulders, meaning big, important things. They're big rocks, which are pretty important things, little rocks, which are kind of important things, or pebbles, which, they might impede our traffic, but, they're more of a small, tiny thing when it comes to having an impact on overall healthy aging. So if you're ready, let's do this. All right. So
All right.
we got this landslide. The first thing we're going to come up to, and me and you, I know we both love this one. It's sleep.
Yeah.
Russell, is that a boulder, big rock, little rock, or a pebble?
It's a boulder 100%.
It's a boulder 100%. All right. Yeah. I'm going to agree wholeheartedly with you. Why is it a boulder?
It just hits every aspect of fitness. So again, going back to my past, I was a detective, being on call, and just the fact of not only, even if I had a full night's of sleep, my phone was there and I was always nervous that the thing would go off or I'd miss a call. So it was very interrupted sleep. I don't think I ever got 8 hours of sleep until I retired.
Yeah.
And I've noticed an extreme difference from the moment I retired, even before I was hitting all the healthy habits, minus the sleep. I was doing the best I could, but so sleep is definitely one. It just, usually that's my first question when things aren't rolling right with a client. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
how's your sleep? Let's go. Let's hit the top one first. That's my top one.
Gotcha. And same. I am fond of saying that sleep is the foundation of over 50 health. I'm with you. We have a weekly check-in form for all of our clients, and they're asked to self-rate themselves on several things. And sleep is one of the main things that we're looking at. If we see that somebody's sleep is starting to deteriorate over time, we know there's something wrong. Maybe it's an external stressor. Maybe it's, our programming. But that's something we both, I think, agree that that's a boulder. We need to get that out of our way kind of first and foremost. That's one of the big things here. All right. I guess we can't, I don't want to beat this to death or we'll be here all day. But, right. I could go on and on about sleep, right? If anybody's interested, we have a healthy sleep guide. You guys can find that. I'll link it in the show notes here as well. All right, Russell, number 2, what about walking? Daily steps.
Again, I'm gonna put that as a boulder for myself. Yeah. I say this all the time. My grandparents were always in shape. They were never overweight. And the only thing they ever did was walk and eat at home, and walking was huge. Walk to the store, walk to church, walk to their friend's house. They hardly ever drove. And so I find that more and more now, tracking clients, God, their steps are so low. And
yeah,
you and I both know the step counter is, not accurate, but
right.
It's kind of a reminder. I only have 500 steps. Let me get up and move a little bit.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, we lost that a long time ago, I think.
We sure did, didn't we? That daily movement practice. And I'll tell you what, Russell, I'm with you. That's a boulder. But when I first started coaching, it was a pebble. I would hear people say, especially to folks our age, right, that you should park far away from the store and get those extra steps. I think that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. How are you supposed to get swollen, jacked by walking? What does that have to do with anything? And I've done a 180-degree turn on that. I believe that daily walking is absolutely critical if you want to have that lean, healthy body, to have that, and not just that, but to have that vitality and that health. And I agree with you. Most of us don't do it. And to be honest, it's an area that I struggle with. It's an area I'm currently working on myself. as an entrepreneur, as a coach, I sit in front of a computer pretty much all day long. And like you said, I've got to remind myself, of course, I wear an Aura ring and it'll say, hey, isn't it time for you to get up and stretch your legs a bit? Which is a welcome message because yes, it probably is. It's realizing that I've been sedentary. So yeah, 100%. When you're talking to somebody about daily walking, are you a 10,000 steps guy or what's your recommendation for folks?
I give them 8 to 10.
Yeah.
And and I always say it's an average throughout the week because you'll see some that only get 5 today, but on the weekend they pick it up and they
Right.
average about 8 to 10 throughout the. What's funny is one of my other tips I give to a lot of office workers or things like that. They say, "Oh, I can't do the steps," and I said, "Well, does anyone in your office smoke?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay, so they get up and smoke, and it probably takes about 5 minutes, right? Why don't you take a smoke break?" So your smoke break is walking. You take a 5 minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care what boss you tell. If you tell them you're taking a smoke break, they'll allow you. But if you tell them you're taking a walking break, they might
Yeah.
raise an eye. So you're
Yeah.
like, "I'm going to walk."
Right on. Yeah, I love it. Take your smoke break if you're in an office where there's smokers, and obviously we're not promoting smoking on the
No,
Over
no,
50 Health
no,
and
not
Wellness
at
show,
all.
but yeah, 100%
Walk.
that
You got
daily
to take a
movement.
walk.
Yeah, I'm with you. I tell people, look, a minimum of 7,000 has kind of been my
Mhm.
benchmark, and then, but meet yourself where you are. If your average today is 2,000, why don't you
Yeah.
just see if you can get next week? Can you get 3,000? To your point, average a day. Meet yourself where you are, and kind of build that up, but build to your, that gold standard is 10,000 steps a day. If you can get that, that's fantastic. All right, I was going to save this one till later, but let's just. I think most folks, this is where most people want to go anyway. I've got supplements. I want to talk about supplements, but instead of just supplements as a whole, I'm going to break them out into some subcategories here. And if I miss any, feel free to throw some in here. But let's start with supplements where they're shoring up deficiencies. So, for example, a lot of us are vitamin D deficient, a lot of us are magnesium deficient, etc. Is that a boulder, a big rock, little rock, or is that a pebble?
So here's where I'm at with this. A lot of us self-diagnose ourselves, and we tell ourselves we're allergic to this or immune to that. We can't do this, can't do that. And I always ask, did you get tested? And so that's where it lies, right? So it could be a pebble, it could be a boulder, depending
Right.
on where your test is, right? So I used to be a big supplement junkie, and somewhere along the line, epiphany hit me, and I looked at the bottle and I said, "Am I just reading this saying it does this, or is it actually doing this to me?"
Right.
So I'm kind of in the middle on there. It could be a boulder, it could be a pebble, depending on. But you have to know
Have to know.
if you have to be spot on. I would think knowing that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that shoring up deficiencies, if you are medically tested, it's a deficiency, and you've got a professional who knows what they're talking about recommending the best way to shore up that deficiency. If you can't get it through Whole Foods, for example, vitamin D is a pretty good example. So a lot of times a doctor will say, hey, take this vitamin D with K2, for example, to
Yeah.
help with the absorption. That could be a big rock, right? But to your
Mhm.
point, hey, I think I'm buying a multivitamin because I'm pretty sure I'm I'm deficient in something. That's probably closer to a pebble. All right. What about supplements with protein?
You mean like your protein powders?
Protein powders. Yes, sir.
Um, uh, Again, it can be a crutch. So it's kind of a good one. It could be a boulder, it could be a pebble again. So let's look at the boulder side of it is like you're not getting anything in and you're not eating any meat, chicken, fish, any protein products. Sometimes our vegans, they have a hard
Hmm.
time finding protein sources to get them that high. So that might be a boulder for them. Somebody like me who was living on protein shakes a while ago and not realizing that this is still a processed food and I couldn't figure out why I was still hungry. It's because I wasn't eating a whole food. So that would be a pebble for me. I'm able to cook meat. I'm able to have it in my house. I'm able to do it. I just have to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hate to do it that way, but could be a boulder, could be a pebble.
Yeah. You know what? And I think probably most of the things we're going to discuss
Yeah, are gonna be
probably fall into that spectrum because look, we're all bio individuals. We're all in different places on our journey, right? I
yeah.
mean, for me, when I think about protein powders, that's somewhere between a pebble and a small rock. Probably you talk to Coach Monica, she'll say it's dust. She doesn't use any, right? I take 1 to 2 scoops pretty much every day. That helps me hit my goal. My goal today right now is
Well,
200 grams of protein.
it,
So go
here's
ahead.
another one. Like for somebody like you who's trying to put on muscle and gain weight, you have to eat an excess of calories. God, if you were
Yep.
to eat all meat all day, you'd be
It'd be tough. It's hard to do. Yeah.
very
Yeah.
full. So
Yep.
protein powder would be essential for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What about creatine? I broke that
Uh,
one out by itself just because, well, let's talk about it.
yeah.
Boulder, pebble, somewhere in between.
I'm gonna go a little, maybe a little below a boulder.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Gonna
Um,
rank it pretty high. Yeah. What's up with
there's just
creatine?
so many studies on the benefits of creatine, not only for muscle and things like that, but they're talking about brain functioning and stuff like that. So the interesting thing is, it's so cheap now,
Yeah.
and it's all over the place. And I think I heard we listened to the same podcasts, but I think I heard on one of them they wouldn't be surprised if they start throwing creatine into everything because
Right.
of the benefits of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would definitely throw it up there as a little below Boulder, maybe.
All right. I'm gonna give creatine somewhere between a small rock and a big rock, I suppose. If there were one supplement short of shoring up an obvious medical deficiency, but if there were one supplement I'm gonna say everybody over 50 should take without question, no matter where you are, it would be creatine.
Yeah.
And look, if you're not familiar with creatine monohydrate, it is its history. It was first, I guess, introduced into common use by bodybuilders. It kind of the idea is you're taking creatine and it helps. We're not going to jump down a rabbit hole here, but it helps with muscle building, right? And it clearly does that. And it has, I mean, the side effects it has are all positive. So, unlike a lot of things, there really aren't any downsides. But to Russell's point, more and more research is coming out that's showing it improves longevity, it improves mental acuity, it improves memory. It is just has all of these wonderful properties. So as we're learning more and more about creatine, plus I think it is the most studied. It has more studies behind it than pretty much any other supplement out there. And to your point, it's dirt cheap. I personally, I use it's bulk supplements, and that's the name of it on Amazon. I just buy the great big bag of it, and
Yeah, that's
I,
what I
I
have too.
use that. Other people are trying to get fancy, and because to your point, it's cheap, it's easy to make, and people are trying to package it with other things so they can get higher margins on it. But all you really need is a reliable source of creatine monohydrate. All right. Here's one that I'm interested in recently, and that's adaptogens. And so when I say adaptogens, folks that aren't familiar with that, that's things like ashwagandha. I think a lot of us have heard that kicked around. Certainly functional mushrooms. We just talked to a couple of people on the podcast here a month or so ago about the power of functional mushrooms. And adaptogens in general are things that reduce inflammation, like on a cellular level. So kind of these healthy supplements. Russell, is that a boulder, a pebble, somewhere in between?
A pebble for me,
A pebble.
as far as
Yeah.
that,
A
and
fun
just
pebble, though, I would
it,
say.
it is.
Yeah.
Again, it's. I think if you cross off all the other big boulders and get down to it, it's a fun place. You
It's
can
a fun place to play. Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's a pebble. I have been playing around. I've been using ashwagandha off and on for some time. I use spirulina. So that's spirulina and chlorella. So algae. I think that falls into this. You could make a case that that's a food source. It is in other cultures. In ours, it's certainly more of a supplement. Been playing a lot with functional mushrooms. So I enjoy playing with it. But yeah, I'm with you. Moving right along, probiotics. Where does that
Hmm,
fall?
I guess a pebble again for me.
Yeah, I suppose unless it was, you're again under medical supervision, you've got leaky gut syndrome, or you've just
Yeah.
destroyed your gut somehow, maybe with a aggressive dose of antibiotics or something. Just have this general gut dysbiosis, then a protocol of probiotics might be bigger, but yeah, I'm with you. In general, there are other things that we're going to talk about that are going to move the needle for gut health way more than your bottled probiotics you find in a store. What about fat loss drugs? Speaking of things you find in the store, these fat burners, fat loss drugs, and I'm not talking about the prescription fat loss meds. I'm talking about just if you go to CVS, there's a whole, there's a whole shelf full of these things.
Remember, what was the one that was popular back in the 80s, 90s? God, I can't remember the name. It was a super popular one. But anyways, you read in the box. I took it, right? So I'll be honest with you. I took the thing, if I believe it or not. But if one day I read the directions inside and it said, well, if you exercise 30 minutes a day and ate this sample meal plan they give you, which was like probably 1,300 calories,
Yeah.
and take this pill. And I'm like, man, if I
Wait a
did
minute.
that, I wouldn't need the pill.
Right.
That's
Right.
crazy. So,
Yeah.
Hydroxycut. That's what it was.
Hydroxycut. Yeah.
I knew
No,
it
I
was
think
coming in my
that
head.
might even still be around,
It
actually.
is.
Yeah.
It's still around, but
Yeah.
some formula they had back when we were taking it, I guess, is no longer around.
Right. Yeah. It had epinephrine, or it had something in it that we
It
no
had
longer
something in
put
it.
in there. Yeah. It had the
Yeah.
secret ingredient.
So again, I'm a big no on that. No, I don't even put that in my arsenal of anything, to be honest with
Right.
you. Unless
That's not it.
you have some money to burn, just want to throw
Right,
money away.
right. Yeah, and look, I get the appeal of this.
Yeah.
If you could, in fact, take a pill, drink a smoothie, whatever, and magically melt fat while you slept, wouldn't that be wouldn't that be amazing?
Well,
That's not how it works.
let's this is a great debate right here. Would it be right? So I think
Oh, yep.
I would lose all my other things that I count as wins, right? Like I'm able to play with my children, because just fat loss is not going to help me play with my children. If I'm able to do things I want to do, I feel better, my mood, my energy, I sleep better, all this other stuff, because I exercise and eat right. And just
Yeah,
because I strip away fat, I can still be in bad health, you know?
right.
So that I always find that interesting. It's like, everyone has, we talked about it a while ago, a weight goal, and you
Mhm.
say, okay, that's where you'd be happy. And it's like, well, you don't know. Like,
Yeah,
why is that number such a high priority?
yeah,
Or why is, if I just lost belly fat, my world would be better.
right. Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. That's a very good point. And I think also when we think about supplements, say if we had a magic fat loss pill, but we didn't do the other things for healthy aging, we wouldn't be just losing fat. We'd be losing muscle and we'd have deteriorating health, right? So that's a fair point. But let's do our last supplement here. And I want to talk a little bit about some of these prescription weight loss drugs. So I'm talking
Mm.
in Wegovy, Ozempic, these semi-glutides that are out there. They are effective.
Mhm.
Where does that fall in our boulder to pebble analogy?
Uh, Pebble. I mean, hopefully, what did Monica say? Dust.
I think Monica probably would say dust. Yeah. A speck of dust. Yeah.
And the only reason I say that is, it's not teaching you how to live like that, right?
Right.
So you get to a point where you lose the weight that you need to lose, and then all of a sudden, I'm going to do the same unhealthy bad habits I did before. I didn't learn anything to get to that point. It's kind of like what they say, if I just gave you $1,000,000, it would probably be gone really fast, as opposed to if you made that $1,000,000, you'd more likely be able to keep it.
Right. If you learn the process of making money versus, and same, if you the
Saving money.
process of building. Yeah, no, 100% with you. This is a game changer though, because for the first time we have prescription weight loss meds that seem to be, or not seem to be, they are effective, let's face it. But to your point, they're effective in weight loss, which does not equal health. It certainly doesn't equal what we're talking about, healthy, vital aging. And unfortunately, these things are what, 1,200 to
Yeah.
1,500 ish bucks a month right now. So they're kind of expensive. Insurance doesn't yet pay for it until pharma companies can figure out how to make obesity classified as a disease, in which case insurance will then pay for it. So look out for that coming here I predict in the near future. But the minute you stop taking it, you lose those benefits as well. To your point, you haven't developed those healthy habits. But at any rate, yeah, interesting. I'll give that one a pebble. I believe it may have uh, some applications for some people, but just overall for what we're talking about, people that are looking to move into their 50s, 60s, 70s, thriving, healthy, I'm going to give that one a pass. All right. What about strength training? When I say strength training, I mean lifting weights, pumping iron. I'm talking about for guys and for ladies. So for figure a 60-year-old lady, strength training, boulder, big rock, little rock, or a pebble?
Boulder.
My man.
Yeah, that's
Why is it
easy.
a boulder? Yeah, that is an easy one. Yeah.
Again, studies have just shown it's more beneficial as we age. And I'm not. I don't know about you, but I don't want to have a scooter when I go to Costco.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing more and more people my age or less with the scooters, and I'm like, wow. And it's you're more prone to injuries as we get older, but if you build a nice solid base of muscle, and what Kevin and I are talking about, we're not talking about bodybuilders. I mean,
Right.
I have a friend who's a bodybuilder. He works really hard, but I could see his other structures in his muscle, in his body, that would be easy. If I did what he did, I probably wouldn't get to where he's at. So when we're talking about muscle building, it's not like what you think. So I think that's it. We always got that bad image of,
Agreed.
especially females,
Yes.
I don't want to get big and bulky. And it's like, you could try.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not
I
going to
tell most
happen.
tell most of my ladies that have that concern, I said, don't worry, you won't. If you are 0.00001% of the population, that true genetic outlier, yeah, maybe you need to be careful, but no. And what we're talking about isn't anything crazy either. It's not living in the gym. We're talking about 3 days a week of maybe 45 minutes to an hour of professionally designed age appropriate strength training programs. And it's, when I say age appropriate, I'm not talking about little tiny pink hand weights unless that's where you are. I'm talking about these full range of motion, functional movements that are going to support you in real life, right? So I think we're both in agreement on that one. All right, Russell, let's move along here. What about HIIT, high intensity interval workout?
Oh,
Where does that fall?
it's depending on what you want to do.
Good point.
There's no bad for me. It's a pebble right now where I'm at in my life and what I'm doing. It's a pebble. I'm putting on muscle, so it's not really a focus of mine. But maybe when I start stripping away body fat, get toward the tail end, I might throw a little HIIT in there. So then it still wouldn't be a boulder. It would be more of a rock somewhere, at
Yeah.
that point. But I guess it just depends on where you want to go, what you want to
Yeah,
do.
that's a good point. It depends on what your goals are, right? If you're somebody who needs to or wants to be highly conditioned and explosive and fast in these really short bursts, then HIIT is probably excellent. I'm a big fan of HIIT. I'm going to give this I'm going to put this as more of a small rock in the overall
Mhm.
things that we need to do to be healthy, vital, over 50 humans. But again, that for you, that priority might be a little bit bigger. But yeah, I like that one. What about avoiding alcohol?
I guess we'd be hypocrites if we said boulder because I have a drink here and there. It's just where I put it in my life. Again, depending on what you want to do. So you want to focus and dial in and lose body fat, and you should probably knock it out for a while. Again, I'm a big believer in being social and hanging out with friends is part of fitness. I think that's a big part, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not against it. Just I always say it's not the calories from alcohol; it's the calories after alcohol that get you.
Uh, that's a good point. Yeah, right. We
The
tend to
decisions
make
and
less healthy decisions
yeah,
after a few drinks,
yeah. I
to
drive
be
by Jack
sure.
in the Box all the time, but I tell you, if I was really drunk, all of a sudden Jack in the Box looks good.
Sounds really tasty. Yeah. So this one for me has moved up, and again, it's less because of the calories, but it's more so there's this cascading effect from alcohol for me personally, where I am in my journey, right? And Lord knows I'm not one to preach abstinence here, given my history with alcohol. But kind of where I am in my journey is I've noticed that when I have drinks in the evening, which is typically when I'm not day drinking, I'm usually evening drinking, it disrupts my sleep, right? So
Yeah.
I'm making poor healthy choices that evening while I'm having those drinks. And then I wake up feeling really crappy the next morning. And so there's this, like I said, this cascade of unhealthy events. Now I'm much more likely to make an unhealthy breakfast choice than I would if I just woke up feeling great, right? So I've disrupted my sleep, which is messing up my recovery. And there's just this whole, for me on this personal journey, this why is, what role does alcohol play in my life? And why do I feel like I'm somebody who will, enjoy having drinks, especially when I'm in an uncomfortable environment. So I'm kind of an introvert by nature. So let's say my wife is a lady boss real estate agent. I'm very frequently going with her to awards dinners and things like that, where I don't really know the people very well. And the conversation is not health and fitness or fishing or something I'm passionate about. It's about real estate and real estate business, which I don't know anything about. I'm not passionate. And in that situation, I feel like I need a couple drinks because once A, everybody else is drinking, and B, once I have those couple of drinks, I feel like I fit in more. And so lately in my personal journey, I've been trying to pick that apart. Well, why is it? What is it about that alcohol that what is that serving? What is that doing for me? Why am I not, do I feel like I'm not good enough? I don't belong. I can't participate in that conversation until I've had the alcohol. Anyway, it's just this journey I've been on. So I've been reducing it just, I mean, year over year till now. I have a couple of drinks a year now. So I've
Yeah.
really changed my view
That's,
there. However, I am aware that there's a social role in alcohol, that people connect deeply with one another. There's a cultural role with alcohol, but
Mhm.
I would move avoiding alcohol upstream. It's certainly not a boulder, I don't think, but I'd call that one a big rock. And again, it depends on where you are and your relationship with alcohol, I suppose, as well.
My favorite social hack that I like to give clients is I drink tequila and I drink it straight. But like you, I probably have, you know, a handful of drinks a year, like at this
Mm,
point. But what I do is get the tequila, right? So you're at a bar or a restaurant or whatever, tequila, I'll drink that. And then after that, I go to the bar and I say, hey, I'm the designated driver. Can you throw water in here and give me a lime? And I walk around, so people probably think I'm
yeah,
12 tequilas deep by the
right.
time the night's going on. They're probably really worried for me, not
Yeah,
knowing that I had one. But
yeah,
it gets that whole like, oh, you're not drinking. You know, you have to have something in your hand, right? Because people will
yeah.
harass you all
Yep.
night. Yeah, so that's my that's my one good tip I try to give out to everybody. If you want to
Right.
avoid drinking at social events.
Or I'm the club soda. If you'll give me the club soda in the
Yeah,
short
exactly.
glass with the lime in there, I feel like I'm having a cocktail and I'm not. And,
Yeah.
I started this whole journey, um, hiding that I wasn't drinking really,
Mm.
and then moved to, just trying to avoid explaining so much. Now I try to just be myself. I'm having water. If somebody questions why I'm not drinking, I'm just very honest. It's not serving me very well right now. And I just kind of move the conversation somewhere else, unless the person's genuinely interested, right? And then we'll have a conversation. But at any rate, yeah.
What's
All
what's
right.
what's funny, real quick, what's funny is since you're in the health and fitness industry, everyone judges you like, "Oh my god, I can't eat
Yeah.
this in front of him or I can't do
Right.
that." And you're like, "No, just do what you want." And I have a drink. I eat bad once in a while. I do
Yeah.
this.
Oh, I'll smash a dessert. And to your
Yes.
point, if I'm out with a bunch of people and they're like, okay, oh, well, there's the fitness nerd over there. And they're kind of surprised when, they come around, they say, what would you like? And oh, that berry cobbler with that ice cream sounds amazing. How about you bring that out for me? And they're
Exactly.
like, wait, what? But yeah, there's a time and a place for everything, and 100%. All righty, Russell. We really do need to move along
Yeah.
here. Let's talk about some of these other big ones. What about eating real food? Said another way, avoiding processed food. Boulder, Big
Boulder.
Rock, Little Rock, or Pebble?
Boulder.
100%
Yeah.
with you. That's a boulder,
Yeah.
folks. I don't think we really need to discuss that much. Hyper palatable, ultra processed foods are designed to make you overeat. They're calorie rich, nutrient poor. Real whole foods are the exact opposite. What about prioritizing dietary protein in your diet? Boulder, Pebble, somewhere in between.
I'm Boulder on that one.
Um, man, I'm with you right there. Yeah, I think that when we, especially in our age demographic, as let me think. I'm trying to think if it's true. I mean, collectively now we've got well over 100, maybe probably closer to 200 plus. I should know this, but how many clients have come through our program? But hundreds, let's just say. And I'm trying to think of a single one that came into our program that was eating. No, that's not true. I can think of at least one exception, but for by and large, almost everyone is under eating
Yeah.
protein. Has that been your experience as
Yep.
well?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the fitness people, the people who come in
Even
with
the
a good
fitness
fitness
people.
base and everything,
Yeah. Yep.
you would think they would be all right. And you look at it and you're like, ooh, that's pretty low.
That's pretty low. Yeah. And if folks wondering what we mean by pretty low, here at the Silver Edge, we like to advocate zero 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight daily, right? So just to kind of give you some sort of a context there. All right, Russell, what about detoxing your environment? And by this, I mean things like beauty products, kitchen, laundry room, that sort of thing. Is that a boulder, big rock, little rock, or a pebble?
Are you talking like environmentally safety stuff?
Yeah, so I'm talking about like your underarm deodorant, your toothpaste,
Oh,
your
oh,
dryer sheets, your, you know,
yeah. Mm, um, maybe small rock on that one.
okay. I'm
Just
gonna
for
go.
me, I'm yeah,
I think I'm going to go big rock on this one.
yeah,
I think that so many of us have just taken for granted most of our beauty products, all of the plastics and Teflons in our kitchen. I think in our, maybe you're just using regular laundry detergent and then you throw in a dryer sheet. Maybe you have a Glade plug-in because you got stinky dogs like me running in and out of the house. And I think that any one of these things is, this tiny amount of toxin that's in that, we're fine, right? Your body is incredible at detoxing. You have organs specifically designed to detox these things. So when, somebody says, hey, that underarm deodorant you're using has got, harmful chemicals and fragrances and phthalate and endocrine disruptors, they're absolutely right. And then the person who says, yeah, but the dose is in the poison, they're absolutely right. But I think when you take this compounding effect of all of the toxins, we're basically swimming in a toxic sea at this point, including our air and our water, but even our household products. The more I look into that, I think the more room there is for overall health improvement just by switching up soap, shampoos,
yeah.
deodorants for ladies, all the makeups and things. I'm a big fan of Environmental Working Group. I think it's ewg.org. They have an app, but anything that has a barcode, you can
Hmm.
pretty much anything, any beauty product, any cleaning product, even foods, you can scan, and it gives it an unbiased. They don't take money from cleaning product companies or anything like that, but it gives you this score of, red, yellow, green. And that's a good way to start. Go into your bathroom and just start scanning some things and looking and seeing there. I think a lot of you'd be surprised at some of the things that the toxins that you're literally applying to your skin. But anyway, that's one that probably would have been a pebble. It certainly would have been a pebble or non-existent in my mind once upon a time. And the more I learn about it and the more I experiment in my personal life, the more and more I move that up. That's a pretty big rock for me.
It's funny. It was a pebble because I was too lazy to figure out what's good and bad. I'll be throw myself right under the bus, right?
There you
And then
go.
you gave
Yeah.
me this, the ewg.org, and I'm like,
Check
okay,
check it
now this
check it out.
this might
Super simple.
move it up a little
Yeah.
bit more. It's funny.
It's eye-opening.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, I need an environmental coach, I think, to
Right
go
on.
shopping with
Maybe
me
we
to
could have
figure out what's
yeah.
what. I
Yeah.
like that. That's great. I
Yep.
just wrote it down because I'm gonna use that. So the next question next time we do this might be a different answer on that one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe it moves up, right? And that's
Yeah.
fair. All right. Russell, what about sauna? Lots and lots of talk about the health benefits of sauna. Where do you fall on that?
Yeah, I think it's up there like a big rock, but I don't do it myself. I'm too ADD maybe. I'm just all over the
Interesting.
place. I can't sit
All
there
right.
for sitting around for a long period of time really. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
probably should use it more.
I'm with you that that just sitting in a hot room is my idea of a whole lot of fun. I don't do it very often. I think sauna, I'm gonna move it down. I think it's a pebble
Okay.
in the overall scheme of your healthy aging. I'm not convinced that sauna or any of this temperature kind of stuff that's all the fad right now is all that. So if sauna is a big rock for you, what's cold plunge?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I would probably move it down now that we're talking about. If we're talking about longevity and things of that nature, yeah, probably rock, small rock.
Small rock? Yeah.
Yeah,
Cold plunge is all the rage right
it
now, man.
is.
That
It
you
is.
go online, your favorite influencer, there's a video of him
God,
or her just grimacing and toughing it out and
these
dipping down into that ice bath, right? Yeah.
$4,000 tubs you can buy at home, and yeah,
Dude, yeah.
up there.
That's a multi-billion dollar industry now.
Wow,
Cold plunge tubs
wow,
sales. It is crazy how that has really taken off. And again, I think it appeals to that, hey, do this one thing
yeah,
and it will have these amazing benefits. But I'm here to say if you're not consistently hitting your protein, consistently eating whole foods, consistently strength training, consistently dialing in your sleep, um, I don't know so much the cold plunge is really the answer for your health longevity. I mean, look, clearly this heat cold contrast, there are health. I'm not saying there are no health benefits to sauna or cold plunge. I just think they're being overhyped right now.
yeah.
It seems like they've kind of caught on. I'm going to give both of those. They're getting pebbles in my book.
Mm.
All righty. Here's another good one. What about intermittent fasting?
Uh, I don't like it myself. For me personally, just I enjoy eating. I have a grasp on what I eat, so I'm not worried about, you know, um, just like anything else. I always tell people if this is something you can do the rest of your life and it's something you enjoy doing, then and it's work, has benefits for you. It can have some benefits in many different aspects. For me personally, no. I have friends who do it and they've done it all their lives, so that's it's fine for them. So
Yeah.
I'm not against it if a client wants to do it. We just kind of discuss what the long road looks like ahead of us. So
Yeah, I'm with you. I think in fact, I'm 100% with you. If it's something you enjoy doing and it works for you, then and you can see yourself doing it for the rest of your life, then have at it. If you're doing intermittent fasting for weight loss, I'm personally not a fan. In that case, I
yeah,
move intermittent fasting from a small rock to a pebble. Not a big fan of intermittent fasting for the reason of weight loss, which is kind of how it's been packaged and
yeah, that's
popularized lately.
probably the easy
Although
sell.
there's some crazy claims as well about all the
You,
miracles of intermittent fasting. But
I take it back. When I do use it is when if I'm dieting and I go a little lower with my calories. I tend to do better if I don't eat in the morning and eat later in the evening. So I'll use a little bit of it, not the 16-8 window they
right,
give, but I
yeah.
will push my breakfast out. So, and I guess we all fast, right? At night.
It's built into our
Yeah, I
biology,
don't
100%.
eat.
That's what I say. Yeah, before you start freaking out about intermittent fasting and the miraculous powers, if you do these two things, one, you don't eat after dinner. So let's say
Mhm.
dinner's at 6:30, you're done by 7. If you're not eating or drinking after that time, you are in fact intermittent fasting, and you are intermittent fasting. And I'm assuming that breakfast then is the next morning at
Mhm.
6 or 7 or 8, something like that. So we've got this 10, 11, 12-hour window of fasting. You are in fact intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
So that's our biology has baked that in for us. I don't think there's any miracle in eating in just a 6-hour window or things like that. Certainly not for fat loss, but even for just overall health and longevity. That's not a big fan. All right, Russell, here's another hot one right now. What about red light therapy?
Ooh, I like it. But as
Yeah,
far as I think it's Pebble. I'm
think it's
not.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just
We had a guest on the podcast a while back who he's a bolder guy when it comes to
yeah.
red light therapy. I'm with you though. We'll kind of wait and see what the science tells us, but right now I'm going to put red light therapy down there with a pebble. I do I think there's some promising studies coming out of red
Mhm.
light therapy, specifically that near red light therapy type stuff, because it does seem to impact cells at the mitochondrial level in a very optimal, healthy way. And I think that if that promising research continues to advance, I think we may see that bump up from a pebble. But I think today, the way kind of it's being marketed and sold to us, I agree. I think that there are other things we can spend our time and money on.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Next one on the list. What about tracking calories? Calorie tracking. Is that a boulder or is that a pebble?
And I'm more maybe slightly below a boulder. Just it's nice to know what you're taking in. We have an abundance of food, so it's not like back in our hunting and gathering days. We ate when we ate. So, but now we can eat whenever. So, which leads, and then adding processed foods into it leads to overconsumption of food. So,
Sure does. Yeah.
I love tracking. I have no problem with it. I do see people who have some issues with being too consumed with it. It could have
Hmm.
some effects that way,
Sure.
but in any regard, even if you use the hand method, the 3 ounces of meat, and you're like, all right, I eat 5 ounces of meat with each meal, that's still tracking. It's just not as precise. So it's always
Yeah.
good to know what your plate looks like and how to build it. So I'm a big
Yeah.
proponent of it.
I am as well. I'm going to give this a small rock.
Oh, okay.
But I do think that it is important that I'd like to see, unless you have some sort of disordered eating history, this probably doesn't apply to you, but just for most people listening to this, doing it at least for, let's just say, a week or a couple of weeks,
Hmm.
right? And I think that practice of weighing and measuring your food and tracking it gives you a bunch of information that you didn't have before. One is you get to see how ridiculous 1 tablespoon of ketchup is.
Yeah.
Most of you are not eating one serving of ketchup, right? If you're having, say, French fries or a cheeseburger, something like that. And likewise, a quarter cup of granola, which is a typical granola serving size, is a comically small amount of granola. So weighing and measuring, learning what 6 ounces of meat looks like versus 12 ounces of meat versus 4 ounces of meat. I think there's something important there. And then, of course, for those of you that want to go on diets, those of you that want to lose weight, those of you who want to build muscle, those of you that have these healthy body composition goals, having a benchmark for where you're starting. That's one of the reasons diets fail so drastically in our modern culture is it doesn't take into account our starting place. If
Yeah.
you're a female eating 1100 calories or a dude eating 1800 calories, you probably have no business going on a diet.
Hmm.
You just don't. And you might not know, or you don't know how much you're eating if you haven't tracked and have some sort of a sense there. And same thing for protein, right? We said, hey, you should have zero point 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. Well, if you've never tracked, you don't really know how much protein you're getting. We get people, Russell, I know you get it all the time too. I'll get clients say, yeah, I'm eating a lot of protein.
Yeah.
And then we dive into their goals or into their food logs. And it's like, no, you're eating 45 grams of protein a day. That's
No.
not a lot of protein. And they're like, well, wait, I had 2 eggs for breakfast.
No.
I had a turkey sandwich for lunch and I had, chicken breast or fish or something for my dinner. And I'm like, yeah, that adds up to about less than 50 grams of
Yeah.
protein for the day. Right. So I do think that tracking calories is important in that context, but just in overall, do you have to track calories for, to be healthy for the rest of your life?
No.
No, you don't. Yeah. 100%.
No.
All right. Let's move along here. What about stress management tactics and techniques?
Yeah. I'm bolder on that one. That one, I think, just maybe because my past, with being a police officer, an on-call detective, going through a separation and child custody, all these things that cause moving. I mean, all these things that cause masses amount of stress, and I didn't deal with it too well back then. So uh, I went down a bad path with that, and
Mm,
it's crazy. Anybody who's been stressed to the point where they were hospitalized, you don't realize. I thought something happened to me. I thought I had a massive injury, or I said my body was just shutting down. It was shutting down, and what came back was stress. So
Yeah.
I'm a big boulder on that.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's a boulder, and I think the people might be surprised. I mean, two of our boulders were sleep and stress management, and again, and they kind of go hand in hand, right? When you're stressed, you're not sleeping well, which sets you up for more stress, and
Mm-hmm.
there's this negative biological cascading effect of things that happen as our cortisol is constantly rise, right? When we have that chronic stress. Of course, for those of you that are first responders, you guys have that chronic stress, but on top of that, you have big doses of real acute stress
Yeah.
as well. And when we look at things like a diet or a sauna or a cold plunge or working out, know that your body's perceiving these as stresses as well, and just stacking all these one on top of each other. And to your point, Russell, when if we can't out recover that stress, that's gonna turn around and either create ill health, or in your case, very ill health.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I ended up in a 3-day hospital stay myself in my 40s, very, very unhealthy, and stress 100%
Yeah.
was one of the contributing factors to how I ended up there. I thought I was having a heart attack. And like 5 o'clock in the morning, I was being rushed to the hospital, had irregular EKG, and was rushed straight into the catheter lab. And it was pretty intense few days there. But at the end of the day, stress was a huge contributor to how I ended up there. Now, I had a number of other very unhealthy habits that weren't serving me either. But yeah, that I agree. That's absolutely a boulder. All right, Russell, let's wrap up here. Just a couple more. What about low carb and keto? Because man, that's all the rage here as well.
Dust on that one.
You're dust on that one. All right, why dust on that one?
I just think it's just marketed for the wrong purposes. This is the I don't know about you. Every client I've had, well, I tried keto and it worked. And I go, well, you're talking to me, so obviously it didn't
Yeah,
work because you're
yeah,
trying to. So if it worked, you wouldn't be talking to me right now. So
right.
that's my main thing.
Yeah, I a lot of times, it's kind of funny. You probably have this experience too. So when I meet somebody new and they say, "Hey, what do you do?" and I say, "Yeah, I'm a personal trainer and a fitness coach. I've got an online business, blah 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 blah." One of the first things people will ask me is what I think about one of two things. It's either what do I think about intermittent fasting,
Yeah,
usually in the context of weight loss, or what do I think about keto?
yeah,
And it's always in the context of weight loss. And it usually goes something like this. A buddy of mine at work lost 20 pounds doing keto.
yeah.
And I'm like, all right, if you really want to talk about this, let's have a conversation. Could you spend the rest of your life never eating another carb?
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound realistic to you? I thought, yeah, I don't really like carbs. And I'm like, oh, A, you're weird. And B, then have at it. Maybe it will work for you. But yeah, I'm with you. Super low carb, keto, ketosis, this whole fat is your fuel. Look, in some very, very rare cases, might that be appropriate? But I'm going to give that a tiny pebble, something
Yeah.
you got to sweep up maybe at the very end if you wanted to play with that after you had everything else in line, just to
Mm-hmm.
kind of see how your body responded. Maybe, but yeah, that's a pretty small one. All right, last one here. What about consistency? So
Oh,
consistent action.
that's a boulder.
That's a boulder,
That's
isn't
a
it?
boulder.
Yeah, it's probably no surprise to anybody listening.
Yeah.
Why is consistency a boulder, and how does one stay consistent?
I spoke earlier about my early journey and uh, nothing I was consistent with. Right, I turned a new magazine page and I said, "Oh, this diet's going to work. Oh, that one's going to work. That one's actually." I bet you if I stuck with most of those, it would have worked temporarily, but it didn't. So consistency was a big one, and then how to stay consistent. That was your next question. That was your
Yep.
yeah. So
Yep.
how to stay consistent is I treat everything like I'm a big person on how you feel, right? So if I get 8 hours of sleep and I feel great, I concentrate like, wow, I really felt great getting 8 hours of sleep. So now that's a heavy focus for me, right? As
Right.
opposed to where if I don't think about these things, if I don't think about like after I eat a good meal, how I feel, and then it'll lead me to eat more good meals.
Yeah.
The whole thing about the walking, I'm a big believer. Again, I was a detective stuck at a desk. every hour on the hour, I set my alarm and I got up and I took a 5 or 10 minute walk. Why? Because I hate doing cardio. So that was my cardio.
Yeah. All right.
So I looked at two different things. I could either go to the gym after and do, half hour, 45 minutes of cardio, or I can walk 4 miles with these 10-minute increments throughout the day. So just little hacks, things like that. That's how I stay consistent. Or, hey, you want to walk more? Get a dog.
Yeah, that'll do it.
No choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that idea that I kind of think of that as refilling the motivation tank, right? Motivation is a very fickle friend, here one day, gone the next. But when you do these healthy habits repeatedly, you get this positive feedback. Oh, I like the way that makes me feel.
Yeah.
When I eat these healthy foods and I'm fueling myself and I'm consistently hitting the gym, I feel like Superman. When I don't, I kind of feel kind of crappy. And so that kind of helps you with that consistency. But yeah, I think that, jumping from one thing to the next, whether that's a nutrition program or program hopping, just kind of seeing something in a fitness magazine or online and just, I'll try this, I'll try that, I'll try this, I'll try that. Not really conducive to long-term success. It's a whole lot of just the boring basics and just showing up and being consistent. I think that really contributes to that healthy aging. Well, Russell, we've moved a bunch of boulders. We moved some big rocks, little rocks. We swept away some pebbles. The way should be pretty clear. Am I missing anything? What else? Anything else you could think of that we should probably talk about?
I'm sure there's a new trend happening right now we don't know about yet. So
there probably is. So stay tuned.
We might have plenty of more of these.
Yeah,
the grape diet. I heard that's coming out next. So
yeah,
we'll talk
next
about
thing.
that.
Yeah. All right. Well, Russell, I want to thank you so much for, just joining our team. You've been a fabulous member of our team. You've really, like I said, earlier on, you've really melded in with our culture. You fit our philosophy already. I know your clients love you. Folks that want to reach out to Coach Russell, what's the best way?
I'm on Facebook and Instagram.
You're around.
Yeah.
Right?
You can get through the 50 Blueprint. I'm on there. So you could message me there or reach out to Kevin, tell him you want to message me.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, for those of you that are on Facebook, let's do this, right? If you're not already in our private Facebook group, again, that's the Over 50 Lean Body Blueprint. Get over there, get in there. And what I'd love to do is let's keep this discussion going. After this episode goes live, I'll make a post in that group and we can start a conversation. Did we miss things? Do you disagree with us? I'm sure there's got to be a cold plunge lover out there that's going to say, no way, it's been a boulder in my life. Love to hear that story, right? Or somebody who's been, has reversed autoimmune disorder through red light therapy or something. Get in there and just don't take our word for it. Let's make this a conversation. Let's continue the conversation over there. We'd love to know what you think. Russell, thanks again for being a good sport, coming on here. And folks listening, I hope you enjoyed joining Coach Russell. If you'd love to work with Coach Russell, hit us up. He has some open slots. Love to get you in here.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, that's our show for today, folks. If you've enjoyed this podcast, I want to let you know that we have other free resources over at silveredgefree.com. There, you'll find our free guides with our top tips on nutrition, exercise, and healthy lifestyle to assist you in your weight loss and fitness journey. So feel free to head over there and download anything that looks useful to you. I will put links to everything we talked about in the show notes. You folks can find those over at silveredgefitness.com/270. As we wrap up our time together today, you can show your support for this show in two important ways. The first is to tell a friend about this podcast and encourage them to give it a listen. The second is for you YouTube folks to click the like and subscribe buttons, and for you podcast folks to please give this podcast a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on, and be sure to subscribe and follow so you don't miss any future episodes. I really appreciate you spending your time with me today, and until next time, stay strong.